Traditional ways of healing with culture. The importance of spiritual understanding and cultural ways of healing. Belief systems and misunderstanding of addiction. Integrating services. The importance of historical interest and understanding for those working within the Western model behavioral health services in Alaska. Hello, my name is Tony Weber, and I am from the Haida Nation. I am sharing with you today the final presentation for my anthropology class, Native Cultures of Alaska. The information I'm going to share with you is from an Alaska Native perspective and is very important in working with the Alaska Native people. There is a disconnect within the behavioral health services that are currently being provided to Alaska Natives throughout the state. The changes that should be made have to happen from the administrative levels. The cohesive integration and cultural practices that are almost non-existent has to become part of the open dialogue that is much needed in regards to cultural sensitivity. Change needs to happen, and if not, it is going to be at the priceless expense of the future generations of the Alaska Native, a already wounded population. The worldviews of Alaska Natives and non-Natives differ dramatically in regards to wellness and well-being. This contrast of values and beliefs continue to have devastating effects on the current practices in behavioral health and concepts of wellness. The disease of addiction, from a Native perspective, is of a spiritual nature, whereas non-Natives may not understand due to Western-style education and teachings and beliefs. The misconception in this area affects the quality of services being offered in a behavioral health setting, which can potentially cause more harm to the Native clientele. We will be discussing the understanding in the disease of addiction from a cultural perspective as it relates to physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual balance and wellness. There is a disconnect and misunderstanding of cultural differences and practices between Western teaching and beliefs. This continues to affect the delivery of services for mental health issues within this population. The continued misunderstanding and misconceptions of these important components in healing potentially causes more trauma and harm to the Native people seeking services. The cultural and traditional awareness is vital in helping to overcome historical and present issues that affect their well-being and to help the client progress towards life goals. Integrating Alaska Native and Western model ways of healing and therapy. The healing circle. The east represents the child or the beginning. The south represents the youth. The west represents adulthood. And the north represents the elders. The healing circle is a talking circle which the eagle feather is passed in the way of the sun. Whoever is holding the eagle feather, nobody else is allowed to speak. Healing circle is a very powerful form of traditional culture and healing. Sewing and beading. Sewing traditional dance regalia has been implemented into Western model group therapy by a Native clinician. Basket weaving. Basket weaving has been a tradition for the Alaska Native people for 8,000 years, according to anthropologists, and is still practiced today. Basket weaving is a traditional form of spirituality and healing. Weaving is the only historical form of artwork that still holds authenticity. The Alaska Native people, due to first contact and oppression, have had their cultural Native artworks tainted with Western tradition. Storytelling. Storytelling is also an important part of Alaska Native culture. There are many multicultural aspects of therapy that can be provided to Native clients that involves integrating Western and cultural emphasis into therapy. Whitco wrote that the oral tradition of storytelling is an important approach to healing and was used to tell of past events or why and how things became the way they are in the present. Storytelling helped Native people become aware of consequences related to their behavior and has become more useful in urban areas where storytelling is available on various websites. Prayer to Creator. Prayer to Creator is a cultural practice that helps balance the spiritual aspects of wellness. The tradition of smudging and offering up prayer are ingrained together. The eagle feather is traditionally used to distribute the smoke from the sage, cedar, or braided sweetgrass. Sweat lodge. Sweat lodge is also used as a way of healing and prayer. Has been used traditionally to purify the spirit and cleanse oneself from negative spirits. Sweat lodge or sweat houses are used to repair damage to the spirit, mind, and body. Rocks are heated and in a fire and placed in the middle of the lodge or house, and water is poured over the rocks to create steam. Prayers are offered up to Creator, and souls are cleansed. Duran, 2007, implies that alcoholism from a Native perspective is the loss of a soul or spiritual intrusion, where the person believes that the soul has been lost and may cause loss of contact with reality, or the illness has been caused by some external force. The illness of alcoholism, Duran shares, is a very profound process that is of a deep spiritual and psychological level. He describes a soul that gets wounded regressing back into what is called the black world, or the unconscious, and when wounded continues to regress that results in a spiritual gap of the wounded person. Duran explains that because the spirit is ego-driven and the true person has been regressed, and the access to the soul is through the ego. Because of the repression, the ego is not well enough to handle the emotional process of healing. Duran implies that ego based on life experiences is damaged and not able to handle the seeking of the spirit. Therefore, it will find material spirits in the bottle. Smudging with sage, sweetgrass, and cedar is considered a sacred smoke bowl blessing and is used as a way to ward off and remove negativity. As you can see, an abalone shell is used during this process and an eagle feather. The smoke is distributed over the body with an eagle feather from head to toe as a prayer is said. As the smoke clears, it is believed that the negativity goes with it into the air. When smudging, traditionally what is used is sage, braided sweetgrass, or cedar, and it is placed in the abalone shell and brushed over the body. The eagle feather is dispelled away from the body to rid negativity from the physical and spiritual being. Dance and song. Dance and song is also another way of cultural healing, and it is very prominent in different villages throughout Alaska, and is an important part of enriching the spirit and staying in tune with the strong connection to Mother Earth and all living things. The songs that are sung are of a historical event and practice. The songs tell stories and of history. Totem pole raising. Totem pole raising is an event that is very, very powerful, touches the depth of the soul, and awakens the spirit at an indescribable level. Only the one living this moment is able to describe the feelings of gratitude and appreciation of the culture. Totem poles are a sacred form of preserving history and our culture. In the importance of cultural sensitivity and working with Alaska Native people. Cultural sensitivity training and practice is an important component. This will help the clinician better understand the Native person, and be sensitive to the Native client's individual needs. Cultural sensitivity helps build the therapeutic relationship and is a vital component that sometimes is overlooked by a Western dominant society that can damage the trust in the foundation of the relationship. Social justice is also an important aspect of cultural awareness and practices. Benefits of culturally appropriate practices: developing a more cohesive approach that fits the cultural needs of Alaska Natives, helping them to establish a more personal therapeutic relationship, building respect and cultural knowledge from the non-Native, makes therapy more engaging and suits the cultural need of working with their hands, learning experience from both Native and non-Native. It has traditional spiritual healing components, keeping Natives engaged in services, helping them carry on the tradition, and helping them to establish a better sense of identity. It also enhances feelings of purpose and importance. The possibilities of the future. In the present time, it can only be imagined that Alaska Native client will walk into a behavioral health center and feel a spiritual connectedness, where the non-Native will show true compassion and knowledge and interest in the culture, traditions, and history of the person sitting in their office. The components that are not present today can and should be initiated into the mission statement and strategic planning of all corporations that serve the Alaska Native people. Duran wrote, 2007, imposing a different worldview on the patient can be understood as a form of violence against the patient's knowledge and life world. The process of this class was very hard for me in learning how much of a need there is for culturally sensitive therapeutic services. This fact makes me even more compassionate to complete my education and start offering these services to help people heal and overcome the many traumas they have and continue to endure from a dominant society. The possible unintentional harm that is caused, as Duran had said, referring to my final paper, he wrote, imposing a different worldview on the patient can be understood as a form of violence against the patient's knowledge life world. The importance of practicing humility will be the only means of winning this battle. Please keep an open mind and remain forever teachable for you and the most precious clients that are being served. The health and well-being of our future generations is too high a price to pay. And in closing, I would like to share a quote from Duran. I quote, "The intention of this book is to provide a bridge between Western and traditional Native healing, and in this manner bring healing to the historical trauma that all people have suffered at some time in their history." I would like to recommend this book to any clinician that has a genuine and sincere desire to understand the worldviews and beliefs of Alaska Native people throughout the state. Thank you.